Okay, guys, let's get started without any further ado. I think the others aren't available today. So, in the last class, guys, we have covered the CEH demo. I've explained what the course is about. We have covered the entire course content. Again, I've explained what topics we'll be learning throughout the course and the session yesterday. Okay, a brief intro on the entire course and the curriculum for it. Okay, and what procedure do we follow? The cyber kill chain procedure for the hacking or the ethical hacking procedure. This is what we have learned in the last session. Okay. Today's class is about the first topic in cybersecurity, which is a prerequisite called networking fundamentals. So today we learn what networking is and what IP addresses are. A very important prerequisite for cybersecurity. Again, not included by a lot of institutes. They expect the students to know this already. But again, in DurgaSoft, we have seen to it that we learn, again, we train the students everything from scratch. Okay. So again, we'll talk about networking fundamentals today, understanding what networking is, what networks are, what IP addresses are. Okay. Because again, throughout the entire course of cybersecurity, we'll be coming across IP addresses a lot. So by looking at an IP, you have to figure out what that indicates. Where is that IP located? How do you, again, where's the attack initiating from? Just by looking at an IP. So for all that, networking fundamentals is quite important. Okay. If you've not attended the session yesterday, don't worry. All these sessions are being recorded and I think they're being uploaded on YouTube. You can just search for DurgaSoft Cybersecurity on YouTube and you can find the earlier session, which I took yesterday. Okay. And just a second. Just 1 second, guys. Yep. So yeah, let's get started without any further ado. Now, when you talk about networking fundamentals, there are three important definitions to know. What is networking, what are networks, and what are hosts? When you talk about networking, this is the practice of connecting information devices with each other. So in an organization, you have multiple sorts of information systems. You have routers, you have printers, you have again laptops, your servers, your again different categories of servers, your IP cameras, whatnot. So the practice of connecting these information devices with each other so that they can share resources or data is called as networking. Okay. And that collective group of those devices is called as a network. So a network is a collection of those interconnected devices that can communicate with each other. Okay. And in that network, each individual device is referred to as a host. So a host refers to any device connected to that network that can transmit or receive data. Again, as examples mentioned earlier, computers, printers, routers, mobile phones, IP cameras, smartwatches, whatnot. Every single device which is capable of receiving data or transmitting data in an organization is called as a host. Okay. Now, just like how we have our names to address each other, these devices also have names, and that name is called as an IP address, Internet Protocol Address. Okay. To define an IP address, each host on the network has a unique identifier. These identifiers are called as IP addresses, Internet Protocol addresses, and they allow for communication to occur between the hosts. So each device in a network is given a unique IP address, a unique identifier, okay, to address each other, to recognize each system or each device in the network, and communicate with each other. Okay, and the version running right now is IP version 4. Okay, there's IP version 6 as well. But again, the world has not completely migrated to IPv6. We are still working on IPv4 itself. Okay. Again, what it stands is Internet Protocol version 4. Okay. Now you might ask, what about version 1, 2, and 3? They were quite experimental. They didn't work out successfully. What properly worked out was IPv4, Internet Protocol version 4. And we're using that currently in the world today. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, definitely. CCTV cameras also host because all of those devices, your CCTV cameras also get a singular IP address. You can access those devices with their IP address. So definitely CCTV camera is also considered as a host itself, which I, oh, Jen, sorry. Any other questions? Okay, assuming no questions moving forward. So this IPv4 address has a few important properties to it. Let me list it out. So firstly, your IPv4 address is a 32-bit address. What I mean by 32-bit address is that it contains 32 zeros or ones consecutively. A bit is the smallest data value a computer can hold. It can either be the value 0 or be the value 1. And your IPv4 address contains 32 zeros and ones consecutively. And this entire 32-bit address is again divided in 4 equal parts of 8 bits each. Each of that 8-bit portion is known as an octet. Octa represents 8, right? And each octet is separated by a dot symbol. So you have 8 bits here, then a dot, then another 8 bits here, then a dot, then another 8 bits here, then a dot, and then another 8 bits here. A bit is nothing but a singular value of 0 or 1. Okay. Now, what you see here is the binary language, the language of zeros and ones, which a computer by default understands. But what we humans understand are decimal numbers, numbers from 0 to 9. So now I'm going to show you how do you convert a human readable number into a binary number, or vice versa. How do you convert a binary number to a human readable number as well? Okay. So when you have this number 11000000, this can actually be converted into a human readable number 192. Okay. This number 10101000 is actually 168. This number 00000000 is simply 0 itself. Okay. And this number 00001010 is actually equal to 10. So now I'm going to show you how you convert any binary number to a human readable decimal number. Okay. In production, we use IPv4. Depends from company to company, Vijay. Okay, so but most of the companies are still using IPv4 addresses itself. Even in your home networks as well, you're getting IPv4. In organizations as well, you get IPv4. Okay. Very rarely organizations have migrated to IPv6. Okay. But no, we'll discuss IPv6 as well in a later stage. Okay. Now, talking about this conversion now. So if you have any binary number, let's say we take this number here, 10101010. Okay. And if I have to convert this number to a decimal number, there are two simple rules for that. Rule number one is you write down all the values from 2 power 0 all the way up to 2 power 7 from right to left. So that's the rule number one. Write down the values of 2 power 0 all the way up to 2 power 7 from right to left. So the rightmost bit has 2 power 0 under it. Then you have 2 power 1, then 2 power 2, then 2 power 3, then 2 power 4, then 2 power 5, then 2 power 6, and then 2 power 7. Okay. Once these values are written down, then you multiply the lower value with the top bit and keep on adding it till the end. So 2 power 0 into 0 plus 2 power 1 into 1 plus 2 power 2 into 0 plus 2 power 3 into 1 plus 2 power 4 into 0 plus 2 power 5 into 1 plus 2 power 6 into 0 plus 2 power 7 into 1. No matter what the bit be on the top, you multiply the lower value with the top bit and you add on till the end to get the final decimal answer. Now let me write down the values of these numbers first. And if you have a question, why specifically 2 power? Because this is a binary number. There are only two possibilities. Therefore, 2 power everything. Okay. Now anything to the power 0 is always equal to 1. It's a mathematical rule. So 2 power 0 is 1. 2 power 1 is 2 itself. 2 power 2 is 2 into 2. That's 4. 2 power 3 is 2 into 2 into 2, 3 times. That's 8. 2 power 4 is 16. 2 power 5 is 32. 2 power 6 is 64. And 2 power 7 is 128. So on. So now that we have these values, we can substitute them here and get the final decimal answer. So 2 power 0 into 0. 2 power 0 is 1. So 1 into 0 is simply 0. Plus 2 power 1 into 1. 2 power 1 is 2. So 2 into 1, that's 2. 2 power 2 into 0, 0 again. 2 power 3 into 1, 8. 2 power 4 into 0, 0 again. 2 power 5 into 1, that's 32. 2 power 6 into 0, 0 again. And 2 power 7 into 1, that's 128. Now when you add all this up, 128 plus 32, that's 160. 160 plus 8, 168. 168 plus 2, 170. So when we humans read the number 170 as 170, the computer reads it as 10101010. Something like high frequency, low frequency, high, low, high, low, high, low. When that exact series of frequencies flows through a computer, it understands it as the number 170. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Any questions, any doubts up to this point? Vijan, Rahul, Priyanka.
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
It's clear, right? Okay. If this is clear, I have two other numbers here, guys. 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 and all ones. So if you have a pen and a paper beside you, what I want you to do right now is calculate and give me the decimal conversion of these numbers 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 and all ones. Okay, that's example 1 and example 2. Okay, and I've written down all the values from 2 power 0 all the way up to 2 power 7 on the screen, if you notice. Okay, so take your time, no rush. I want you to convert these binary numbers into decimal numbers and give me the final answer. And then I'm going to explain why this is important. So there's a reason I'm explaining you this conversion. We'll talk about that in a bit. Take your time, no rush, guys. Okay. Any answers for the first one, guys? Rahul, Priyanka, Vijan.
First one is still 85.
85. Okay, let's check that out. So again, 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1. So 2 power 0 into 1, that's 1. Plus 2 power 1 into 0, that's 0. 2 power 2 into 1, that's 4. 2 power 3 into 0, 0. 2 power 4 into 1, 16. 2 power 5 into 0, 0. 2 power 6 into 1, 64. And finally, 2 power 7 into 0, 0 again. So if you add all these numbers, 64 plus 16, that's 80. 80 plus 4, 84. 84 plus 1, 85. Correct answer. Okay. I hope the others got the same answer as well, Priyanka and Vijay. First numbers, first binary number solution is 85. Correct answer, Ram. Let's wait for the next one. Okay. Any answer for the second one, guys? For all ones? Rahul,
Can I say
Priyanka.
250, 255?
255. Correct
Yeah.
answer again, Rahul. Okay. So you have all ones. So you just add all the numbers up. 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. And when you add all that up, you get the number 255. Correct answer again. Now, the reason I'm explaining you all this is to understand the range of IP addresses, guys. So to get the first IP, all I have to do now is put all zeros everywhere in every octet. So in the first octet, all zeros, and the second octet, all zeros, and the third octet, all zeros, and the fourth octet, all zeros. In that way, I could achieve the most or the smallest value possible. And therefore, the first IP is 0 dot 0 dot 0 dot 0 simple in decimal. And if I had to get the last IP, how do I get the maximum value? Just put all ones everywhere. And when I put all ones, you get the number 255.255.255.255. 255. So no matter what IP addresses you have, you would always have them in the range 0000 to 255.255.255.255. They would never extend beyond that number because logically, when you put all ones, the maximum it can go up to is 255, never beyond that. Okay. And if you have to calculate how many IPs are there in total, each bit here has two possibilities. And there's a total of 32 bits over here. So if I had to get the total number of IPs, it would be 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, 32 times, which is 2 raised to the power of 32. And that would be approximately 4.3 billion IP addresses. So back then, when these were invented in the 1950s or so, 4.3 billion IP addresses did seem like a very large number because back then you didn't have any mobile phones, there were not many computers, not many organizations had access to the internet as well. Okay. But fast forward to 2025, the population itself is 9 billion people, close to 9 billion at least, or might have crossed that. And each person can again have multiple devices. So if you ever assign each IP as such individually to each device, it would have never been sufficed, right? So that is why these 4.3 billion IPs are again divided in various categories. There's something called as classes, there's something called as public IPs and private IPs, etc., etc. Okay, we're going to cover that in a while, don't worry. But before we get into the categorization of IPs, let's talk about the sequencing. Okay. We know this here is the first IP. We know this here is the last IP. What about the IPs in between? How are they progressing one after the other? So to understand the sequence of IP addresses as well, there are two simple rules. Rule number one, always start incrementing from the rightmost octet. What I mean by that is if I have the first IP here as 0000, next IP would be 0001. So the rightmost octet increments by 1. Okay. Then 0002, then 0003, then 0004, then 0005. So like that, the cycle goes on, and somewhere down the line, you would have 000 255. That's the maximum value. So then comes rule number two. Once the rightmost octet reaches the maximum value, then you move to the left octet. So this 255 resets back to 0, and the left octet now, the one right left to it, or the one right beside, increases by 1. Okay. So after 0000255, you have 0010. Now after 10, don't directly jump to 20. That would be wrong. Remember rule number one, always start incrementing from the rightmost octet. So after 10, you have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, goes up to 1255. Then you have 20, 21, 22, 23, which goes up to 2255. 30, 31, 32, 33, which goes up to 3255. So if you see there's a pattern here, 00 to 0255, 10 to 1255, 20 to 2255, 30 to 3255, 40 to 4255. Like that, the pattern keeps on repeating, and somewhere down the line, you would have 2550 to 255255. Once both these octets are full, what happens then? They reset back to zeros, and the next octet changes to 1. So then you have 0100. Okay. So if you notice now, we have 00 again, just like how we had it the first time. Okay. So whatever pattern repeated here, same pattern repeats here again. 0001 02 03 goes up to 0255. 1011 12 13, which goes up to 1255. 2021 2223, which goes up to 2255. So the same pattern, whichever has repeated all the way from here to here, from 000 to 0255255, same pattern repeats from 100 to 1255255, then 200 to 2255255, 300 to 325555, 400 to 4255255. And similarly, somewhere down the line, you would have 25500 to 255255255. Now, once all these three octets are full, the last zero changes to 1. So whatever pattern repeated all the way from 0000 to 0255255255, same whole pattern repeats from 1000 to 1255255, then 2000 to 2255255255, 3000 to 3255255255, and somewhere down the line you would have 255000 to 255 255, 255, 255. Here's the first IP, and here's the last IP. And if you count each and every single IP here, again, including all the ones which I've skipped, you would have a total of 4.3 billion IP addresses. Okay, so that's the entire sequencing of IP addresses, guys. Okay, Might seem a bit confusing, but it's easy to remember if you just remember these two rules. Always start incrementing from the rightmost octet. And once the rightmost octet reaches the maximum value, then you move to the left octet. Okay, as simple as that. Okay. Now, moving on. After the sequence, as mentioned, these entire 4.3 billion IP addresses are divided in various categories. There's something called as classes, class A, B, C, D, and E. And again, in each of those classes, we have subcategorizations. Public and private IPs in class A. Class B also has public and private IPs. Class C also has public and private IPs. Class D and Class E don't have any private IPs in them. All of them are public IPs itself. Okay. But what do I mean by that? What do I mean by these classes? What do I mean by public and private IPs? What is this categorization? So let's talk about that. So first we'll discuss today what public and private IPs are. And in the upcoming sessions and the next session, we'll discuss about the classes as well. Okay, to explain about public and private IPs in the simplest way possible, we can take the example of our own home networks itself. Okay, now in our home network, we have a Wi-Fi router, and to that Wi-Fi router, we have all the other devices in our internal network connected. You could have your mobile phones, you could have your smartwatches, your laptops, your desktops, your smart TVs, whatnot. All of these devices belong to your private network. And this network is also commonly known as the intranet. Okay, intranet is a local or a private network where you have a certain number of devices interconnected with each other. So in our home network, when you have all these devices interconnected with each other, this becomes an intranet. Okay. And in the intranet, each device gets a unique private IP. So in your local private network, for identification, each system gets a unique private IP. So my router could get an IP like 192.168.0.1. My laptop could be 0.2. My watch could be 0.3. My phone could be 0.4. My smart TV could be 0.5. Each system gets a unique private IP here. And for communication, they would be using those unique private IPs. So when my phone has to send a packet to the router, it sends a packet from its IP 0.4 to 0.1. Okay, so private IP addresses are the IP addresses used in a local network for identifying local private devices. And when any of these devices wants to communicate with the internet, they need a public IP there. Okay. So your router gets a cable from outside the house. So whenever your router has been set up, an ISP guy pulls a cable and plugs it to your router, which comes from outside your house. Could be an optical fiber cable or an RJ45 cable, anything. But that cable carries something called the public IP. This public IP is provided by the ISP, Internet Service Provider. So in India, we have ISPs like Airtel, Act Hibernate, Hathaway, whatnot, Geo. Okay. In US, you have ISPs like AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, whatnot. Okay. These ISPs provide the public IP for connecting to the internet. Okay. So when my router has been assigned that public IP, when it wants to communicate with the internet, it will use that public IP to send the packets outside the network. So if my phone wants to communicate with google.com, first it sends the packet to the router with the private IP. The router shifts the packet from the private network to the public network. And with that public IP, it again goes across different servers on the internet and reaches Google. Okay. So for communication over the internet, or for global or public communications, you need public IP. For local private communications, you need private IPs. Okay, as simple as that. To define them, as mentioned, public IPs are globally unique IP addresses which are used to identify devices on the public internet. They're allocated by the internet service provider and they're routable over the internet. You can use the public IP to route across multiple servers on the internet. And to check what your public IP is, you can go to your browser, and in the browser, you can search for what is my IP. And this shows your exact public IP. Okay. On the other hand, oh, just a second. Yeah. On the other hand, if you want to figure out what your private IP is, private IPs are the IPs used within private networks, such as homes, offices, or organizations for local communication, and they are not directly accessible from the public internet. Okay. You cannot access internet with just a private IP. You need the public IP for accessing the internet. Okay. And these allow for devices within the same local network to communicate with each other. So how many other devices you have in your local home network or in your organization? When they want to communicate with each other, they have to use private IPs for that. They don't need a public IP for internal communication. Okay. And to check what your private IP is on your Windows system, you can open up the command prompt CMD. And here you can search for the command ipconfig. Stands for Internet Protocol Configuration. And you can see this is my private IP. I have to check the IP for the adapter I'm connected on. I'm connected right now on the Wi-Fi adapter, and this here is my IPv4 address, this is the private IP. Okay. So this is what public and private IPs are, guys. In the next session, we'll be talking about classes. So what is class A? What is class B? What is class C? What is class D? And what is class E? What's the relevance of each of these classes? Why do we have 5 separate classes? Okay. What's the purpose of them? We'll talk about how to assign an IP address. How do you assign it manually from the control panel? How do you get it automatically from a DHCP server? What's a DHCP server? What is a DNS server? We'll be covering all this in the next session, in the session tomorrow. Today, you've learned basic networking. What are IP addresses? What is the range of IP addresses? How do you calculate the first IP? How do you calculate the last IP? How do you understand the sequence of IPs and what public and private IPs are? Tomorrow, we go a lot more in depth. Okay. Any questions or doubts up to this point? Anyone? Rahul, Vijay, Priyanka. Any questions, guys? And again, as mentioned, if you have not accessed the earlier session, you can access it from YouTube. It's uploaded on YouTube. You can search for DurgaSoft Cybersecurity for the most latest uploaded video. You can find the demo which I took yesterday. I've explained about the entire course content. I've explained what topics we'll be covering, what is a procedure that is followed in organizations from a cybersecurity professional, and again, what job roles this course is going to suit for. We've covered all that in the session yesterday. Okay, you can access it on YouTube. Just go to your browser, search for YouTube, and in that just search for DurgaSoft Cybersecurity. And in that, you can just click on recently uploaded, filter it out with recently uploaded, and you get these recordings here, if you notice. Okay. I think they haven't uploaded the recording from yesterday yet, but oh yeah, they did actually 21 hours ago. My bad. This is the recording from yesterday. Yes. So I explained about the entire course content here. So you can go through this recording, guys. If you want, I can share this link in the chat box as well. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further for the session today. Please go through the recording from yesterday's class. And if you have any queries also, you can let me know in the next session. Since these are demo classes, I'm taking slightly shorter sessions because every day new students are joining and I don't want them to miss out on much content. But once you get registered for the classes, we have the 1 hour session from next week onwards. Okay. So these are demos, slightly shorter sessions. But if you have any questions also after going through the recordings, please do let me know in the next class. Thanks for joining the session today. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye.